Bill Belichick we found out that he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I have to say, I am shocked that somehow Bill Belichick has become a unifying figure, something that I did not think was possible. But him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer, that brought everybody together. Now, look, I know one thing that brings people together very easily and that everybody loves, especially on the internet, is the ability to say that other people are stupid. All right, that's the thing that brings the tent all there, is we get to say somebody else is stupid. Because quite honestly, some of y'all rarely have the right to talk like that. You got to jump on your goddamn opportunity to do that. Like, I see on occasion that people say they feel like I talk about people being stupid all the time. No, you just already know it about your goddamn self, and I give you a little whiff of it. All right?
And it's not just that people are stupid. It's that the media is stupid.
The media is stupid, except. Oh, no. Don't you bring that shit over here. Not this time, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a handle on what it's not what I think is going on. It seems to me to be very clear what is going on. And I say it seems pretty clear what's going on because Bill Polian gave the game away, right? Now, we had a report that Bill Polian, former general manager of the Buffalo Bills, for those of you who don't know, the Bills that went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, Polian built those teams. The better than expected, faster than expected Carolina Panthers, they made it to the NFC Championship in their second year of existence. Polian built that team. And then the Peyton Manning era Indianapolis Colts. That's Bill Polian. As a result, Bill Polian is in the Hall of Fame. Bill Polian is also a Hall of Fame voter who has some sway in that room. Now, Ryan, I can't remember who reported this, but the word got out in the streets that Polian said that they should make Belichick wait for a year because of Spygate.
Yeah, this is from Don Vanetta and Seth Wickersham. And if they're reporting it, I take that as fact.
Right. Now, I will say this right fast. And this, I think, is a very important point to make. And I'm curious your thought on this. I don't think it's that ridiculous if they made the decision that Spygate is worth not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay? Now, what's happened with first ballot Hall of Fame stuff is it allows us to offer gradations of what kind of Hall of Fame there is. Because there really is just Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, right? But we got to talk about stuff on the air. You understand what I'm saying? We got TV shows and podcasts to fill out. So we got to find another topic of discussion or another way to level off people's greatness. And so the way that we then do that is, what ballot Hall of Famer were you? Okay? Now,
with the gold standard being unanimous.
Right. And I don't know
unanimous first ballot.
Yeah, and I don't know how often, how many guys. Like, I'm thinking historically about baseball Hall of Famers. Howard Bryan and I talked about this in our interview about Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was a first ballot Hall of Famer with 76% of the vote, and he retired as the consensus greatest second baseman of all time, right?
For reference, you have to get 75% of the ballot to be. So he barely made the cut.
Yes. And so we're just getting these guys like what Rivera was a unanimous Hall of Famer. Like, through the history of baseball, there was all kinds of guys that were like, not yet. Okay? Like, people just decide to do that for whatever reason. Now, what makes the football ballot interesting is that it's a lot harder to get in on any particular ballot because there's some limits in terms of how many people can get in. 22 guys play on a field at a given point in time. You know, it's a lot of stuff that goes into getting in. And
almost harder for coaches than players.
Yeah. Oh, it's easily more difficult because the coaches wind up on this shorter ballot. There are very few coaches, ultimately, who wind up in the Hall of Fame. That's why in basketball, when people are like, well, Eric Spoelstra's a Hall of Fame coach, I think he may have eventually gotten there, but I was like, guys, I need you to go look at who does or doesn't get in as a Hall of Fame coach. It's really fucking hard in order to pull it off, right? It's the same thing with football, but just generally speaking, it's like 5 guys get in. You got like a senior committee. You got all these different things that go on that if you get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, not being a first ballot Hall of Famer is not nearly the insult that being a first ballot Hall of Famer is a credit to you. And the truth is, those guys were engaged in a fairly intricate scheme of cheating, right? In baseball, these guys got caught over there cheating. They not letting them in at all. The best baseball player since World War II He ain't getting in, right? In the name of cheating. Now, that's a little different because it was broad and it was rampant and it becomes difficult. Like you're basically ignoring an entire era of history. But all I'm saying is we have a track record of kind of putting the brakes on people if the belief is that they engaged in some dishonorable activity. Okay? Belichick clearly did. And by the way, not only did Belichick engage in this dishonorable activity, he turned into a real jerk afterward. If you watch that Patriots documentary series, the 10-part joint that Bob Kraft did, put a pin in that, by the way. If you watch that, the clear change and when Belichick became like, we're on to Cincinnati guy, was after Spygate. Before that, he behaved like a human being, not like he was raised by wolves and dealing with media and everything else. It was after that he stopped. It turned into the guy that we all now talk about and that we all now see, right? So put together the fact that he got caught in some shenanigans and then he started behaving poorly toward a group of people that make up the majority of the voters. Yeah, maybe they make him wait a year. He's going to get into the Hall of Fame, right? So this isn't a one or nothing sort of situation. So for that reason, I find myself being a little more surprised that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer than I am bothered or than I am offended by the idea that he did not get it, right? Now, the problem is what I don't like because of how I was raised, because of where I'm from, because of what I'm about, because of what I stand for, is messy, petty suckers. That's what I don't like. That's what I don't stand for. And it is very clear to me that Bill Polian is the messy, petty sucker that is the ringleader behind this. And that it just seems like hateration and holleration run rampant in that dancery. And that's why we here. And that I cannot abide by. And you're like, well, gee, Bomani, how do you feel so confident saying this? So, Ryan, as you said, Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta reported that Bill Polian apparently said because of Spygate, let's make him wait for a year, okay? And Polian really carries weight in that room, all right? Don then talked to Polian. Polian says, one, that he did not do that. Polian had also said that he voted for Belichick. But then Polian also told Don Van Natta that he doesn't remember if he voted for Belichick. But he knows he voted for Bob Kraft. I need you to riddle me that, homeboy. Okay? You vote. Word. That's how we know it's you. All right? You know you voted for Bob Kraft. You were adamant about voting for Bob Kraft. But maybe you voted for...
I can't recall.
Yeah, I can't recall if I voted.
He pled the fifth.
Right. Well, so this is the thing about Kraft, though. And this is something Van Natta and Wickersham have also reported on, and why I said put a pin in it talking about that documentary series. That docuseries was the beginning of Kraft building his case to get into the Hall of Fame. It's really important to him, per the reporting of Wickersham and Van Natta, that he get into the Hall of Fame. He really, really wants it, all right? So you're going to have a hard time convincing me that Kraft's desire to get into the Hall of Fame and Polian saying I absolutely did vote for him does not have some measure of influence in not voting for Belichick getting into the Hall of Fame. So let Polian be a friend of Kraft's. Also, Polian, remembering he was the GM of the Colts when Colts-Patriots was the prime rivalry in the NFL, and you were losing to a dude that you believe was cheating y'all. You telling me that you don't think this was not the opportunity to get his lick back? Now, one last thing, Ryan, before I get this to you, and this is important to note. It's a little bit complex for the type of the ballot that Belichick is on, all right? So this is from Mike Sando of The Athletic, and he says they're on the senior ballot, the contributor ballot, the special ballot. I don't know what it's called, But on that ballot are Bill Belichick, Bob Kraft, Roger Craig, running back for the 49ers back in the day, Ken Anderson, quarterback for the Bengals back in the day, and L.C. Greenwood, defensive end for the Steel Curtain. Okay? They're on a ballot that is separate from the 15 modern era finalists, and they're competing for one of 3 spots. 50 voters pick 50 voters each pick 3 guys. The top voter gets in no matter what. The others have to get at least 80% of the vote. So that's 40 out of the 50 voters, which is to say, there are a lot of ways in which somebody could wind up not getting it. But if Bob Kraft is the one that's at the top of the ballot, and those other guys don't get in, including Bill Belichick, come on, man. That's shenanigans. That's shenanigans.
Right. To your point about how bad Robert Kraft wants to get in, this is from the Wickersham Don Vanetta article. This year, Belichick was a finalist of Robert Kraft, the Patriots owner and Belichick's co-architect of the NFL dynasty in New England. It marked the first time that Kraft, 84, was a Hall of Fame finalist after 14 years of campaigning on his behalf by the team's longtime PR man and other supporters.
I would also like to note he was not the co-architect. He just bought the house.
Yeah, he bought the house. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But the docuseries, like to your point, he is clearly trying to set up the narrative that it was a 3-man group that put that team together, and him, Belichick, and Brady.
Yeah. But I will tell you this. I tell you what he also clearly builds as a 1-man plan, Spygate. Like he very clearly washes his hands of that one, right? He puts that all the way on Belichick. And Belichick wound himself doing himself a disservice in that doc if you watch it, because it became clear he decided he wasn't going to give them anything. And then he wound up with a documentary that was made that had nothing to do with him.
Right.
You know, everybody else makes their case and he doesn't. He's just kind of lost in the wilderness when it comes to the discussion. But no, if I had to bet, Bill Polian decided he's not letting Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame, not right now. Okay? Now, this isn't even the most egregious case of Hall of Fame voters acting like this. To me, there is no question. The worst I've ever seen is that year that Morton Anderson made the Hall of Fame and Terrell Owens did not. Right? That was, they made Terrell Owens wait like 2-3 years.
I think it was 3.
Yeah, like it was, again, Belichick is going to get in. That's why I can't get but so charged up about it. In the end, he will be a Hall of Famer, and they don't give you a different jacket for being a first ballot Hall of Famer. All right? He's going to get in. That's going to take care of itself. Boom. There it is. But goddamn, let me tell you this right now. If they let Bob Kraft in before they let Belichick in, if they decide to be super petty and let Tom Brady in, wait a couple years to get in before him, don't let them put Eli Manning in before they let Bill Belichick in. She might do like, what's his name did? T.O. did, and have his own ceremony. Because this is the part to me that I think is interesting and human, and where it has to hurt Belichick, who in that Wickersham Van Natta report was like 6 Super Bowls isn't enough, which, by the way, fair question.
Good argument.
Yeah. Belichick is football fan doesn't even begin to describe it. You know, it's like what this is and what this means to him and the historical value he places. And he's the guy that goes back and talks about like Dutch Schultz. Is it Dutch Schultz? Dutch Clark. Dutch Schultz is the bang, 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 shoot 'em up gangster by far. Hey, man, they used to make a lot more Dutches back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Not a lot of Dutches in the league these days.
Yeah. I know one Dutch, and he has nothing in common with Dutch Schultz or that Dutch Clark. He used to be Big Crit's manager. That's the Dutch that I know. I can only imagine how painful that is to Belichick, because I'll never forget. It's a long story, but I needed to holler at Warren Sapp about something the week that he got into the Hall of Fame. And I called him. And I've never heard anybody happier to be anywhere in my life. Right? Like the idea of like, we go into the Ray Nitschke lunch, right? Like all of those things. Like for those guys, the Hall of Fame means something so, I think it means more to football players than it means to anybody else.
It's referred to as football heaven.
Yeah. Well, in part because football is a camaraderie sport.
Right.
And so once you're there, you're just around everybody. And those guys go back every year and the jackets and everything else. And Belichick has been exercised from the NFL, basically. But you can't take that away from him once he gets there. And I can only imagine how much it'll mean to him to get there. And they're going to let Bob Kraft in there? Like, that's what he's thinking right now, whether they're going to or not. I mean, that's my guess is what's going to happen. They're going to let Bob Kraft in there. He's not even a football guy. He's a fan. They're going to let a fan in before they let me in? Woo-wee. By the way, has Jordan sent any tweets about this yet? I bet she ride for her guy.
I have not seen any Jordan tweets, but we got LeBron tweeting about this. We got Mahomes tweeting about this. We had Jimmy Johnson.
Nobody's more charged up about this than Jimmy Johnson. Now, look, Jimmy Johnson had to wait all them years to get into Hall of Fame. Hot take. I don't think he should have got in. But let's go with this one. Number first for Jimmy Johnson, who's 81 years old now?
Something like that, yeah.
I would like to know the names of the assholes who did not vote for him. They are too cowardly to identify themselves. He is right about that second part, by the way. And then this one. If they are using the excuse, in all caps, of Spygate, that's ridiculous. Many teams, including ourselves, tried it. Howard Mudd at Kansas City, who later coached for Bill Polian and Tony Dungy, gave us the idea. He was the best. We didn't get anything and stopped, but many teams gave it a try. He was never this interesting on Fox. Like, never. But hey, man, he's going to get in. But thank you, Bill Polian. This week, before the Super Bowl, is normally a content wasteland. Well, you said no. I got you. Let me throw y'all this softball right fast. And I don't know whether to hit it or catch it. But either way it goes, we about to score.